together. I went there by an affiliation with Alliance Française, Russia. They had sponsored me to go there and participate in the residency for 1 month. And I didn't know what to expect. It was my first time in West Africa, and I land, and Romina and the founder of the residency, Vabene Elikemfiati, who just needs an entire podcast separately because she made our lives so enlightened and changed after we met her through her residency. But I just remember Romina being very calm and kind and collected. And I just remember going, I'm interested in what her art is. And we got to talking, and by the time we got into Kumasi, we have spoken about so much, about everything that we believe in, things that we want to do, and she was telling me what she wants to do during the residency and all the ideas coming up, and we just decided to be in the same room. And I think partly because we were finding out so much in common with one another that we just decided to be in the same room, and that then began our almost immediate decision of doing a film together based on the discussions that we've been having about our similarities as young female artists in the world, but also the similarities between, an African female artist and a European female artist. So all those things just came together, and we decided to make a film about the things that we thought were important to share as people who are seemingly different but shared a lot of things. We did a film called Kukutana, which is a Swahili word which means to meet. We had other options, I think, but we found that Kukutana really summed up what it is that we had done, and we really we clicked and got along well and found the value in this residency and the value in each other. It was huge luck to just have met each other at that time in that place. So I wanted Romina to kind of reshare, how she got into art, how she got into performance art, and what led her to choose Ghana at that point, even though there had been stories of restrictions to come out here.
I think like what fascinated me the most about our encounter was that we, like exactly what you said, that we clicked immediately, and that we just couldn't let go, talking and sharing all of our stories. I think what we have in common is that we both cherish the power, the strength, and the beauty of spoken words and written words, and that we are both writers, and that we use words in a way as an instrument to transform our lives and to transform past experiences. I think that we did that also with the film, and I learned so much from you, and it nourished my soul so much, so that in the end I couldn't really digest because it was so much. It was very transformational, I felt. So I grew up in a household which was very challenging for me because I was surrounded by a lot of things and people that I didn't really understand, and I didn't feel emotionally very understood or seen of who I am. And I started writing when I was 9 years old, so I was writing daily about what was happening, what we were doing, and then I cultivated this process of writing, and sometimes I was in my teenage years I was writing hours and hours and hours, and I expressed also my teenage years with collages and photography. I expressed my inner life. I was very inspired by Frida Kahlo when I was 14 or so, and by the feminist movement in Mexico and so on. And I love to read, and I think it saved me a lot from the world that I was kind of living in, because it didn't really resonate so much with me. So that's why I was living in books practically, and I was writing all the time, and then I studied theater, media, and film theory.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also film.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also at the experimental film school, and so this were that became my medium in the first place. Like film, for example, and of course writing to express what was going on inside, and especially analog film transported for me some kind of poetry, because it was like silent films, silent movies,
Mm-hmm.
that I thought that kind of like fiction film couldn't really transport, or like not in this silent way that I really love in poetry. Like when you read a poem, it's a lot of things are hidden, and there's a mysterium about them. You cannot really understand it fully.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's kind of like a beautiful analogy for life, because I think that here in Vienna,
Yeah.
it's the city, like where I'm living now, it's the city of psychoanalysis and psychology and psychotherapy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that people always try to understand everything and every single aspect of their being.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel that life has to be lived, and I think that life is a mysterium that can never be like fully understood, but it has to be lived and experienced. And I think that there's a lot of beauty and power in creating a new world by experiences,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And that's why I also came into performance. So, and when I was younger, I was very much in my head, and I was maybe way too young when I got into philosophy and analysis, and I was surrounded by a lot of like older people.
Mm-hmm.
And also in my first years of university, I was just like in these weird cycles of like very analytical people who try to understand the world, but who were not really. I didn't feel that they were like really happy, joyful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was just like, I don't know. And I was there as a young woman, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I was very interested in the politics of the body,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in the beginning. I was analyzing this with film. And then after I finished my master's, I think I was 23, and I went to Japan, and then I came back, and I just knew, okay, I don't
Mm-hmm.
in academia,
Mm.
and I don't want to become someone who like who learns just from
Mm-hmm.
this I don't know, this mindset of like understanding everything,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
in reality you don't understand nothing at all.
Right.
And then I started dancing, and that was really a turning point in my life. I think I was like 23, and then I started dancing, and I came into contact with Bunto, this Japanese performing art, and it transformed my life. It's been 10 years since then, and it transformed my life
Mm-hmm.
totally. And I think since then I am living in my body again.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it became much more important to combine like really feeling good within my body, and also be a critical thinker and embody my rebellion and embody my power too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I began with my first performances. I worked with Mina Achatz. She's a wonderful Japanese choreographer, and for me, she's kind of like a witch. She has that witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
She's nearly 60 years old, and she looks like 18 because she has this power of transformation within her. And so with her, I did the first performance, and I learned a lot about Japanese healing techniques and imagination techniques, and about presence, and I don't know, to experience the body So this was the first performance with her. It was a group performance, and then I started doing kind of like ritual performances in which, for example, I opened the feminist festival, and there I had a watermelon, and I was kind of like a prize list, and everybody could write on the watermelon what they wanted to have smashed in their life, or killed in their life in a way that you cannot do legally. So it was written on like capitalism and patriarchy and everything, and so kind of like to transform the pain and to free, like collectively in one moment, the heart and the souls of the people who were participating, and to create an experience, a collective experience, because I think that the mind cannot really make a difference between imagining doing it or just like really doing it. And so if you take a hammer and just hammer into a picture or do it with a person, then it's the same for your brain. Like how to live my life in an ethical and beautiful way, to bring a lot of poetry in my everyday life, and to really feel good in my body. Right now I'm reading the book, it's called Pleasure Activism, Politics of Feeling Good by Adrienne Marie Brown, and it starts one essay of Audre Lorde about the uses of erotics. And so what really feels good for the body, and so I'm doing films, I'm doing dance, performance, and I'm still a writer, and I'm very concerned with the politics of the body, and I don't want to be stuck in kind of like just analyzing yourself all the time, but to really collectively exchange and feel good with each other. I think it became my main interest, to create together something which is meaningful.
And how did you land on Ghana, and how did you find out, and what made you come?
I have a very dear friend in Zurich, a wonderful artist, is concerned with the politics of queer refugees in exile, especially also concerned with the situation in Iran. And they told me that Vadene was in Zurich, and they showed me about her work. So I don't know, I felt it for so long, for at least 2 years, that I would love to go to Ghana. I don't know why, but it came, like these images came again and again, that I have to imagine that I go there to a queer activist. It was just like the most beautiful thing I could imagine, like to be with very political, like-minded people. And in the internet there were like warnings on some official sites, like there are bandits there and there. There are like groups who are like it's dangerous there and there, and there are groups who are kind of like terrorists or something like that.
Wow.
And it's not very safe. And also when I was at the doctor, and I got the yellow fever injection, the doctor told me, but why do you risk going there? Like, it's not urgent. Why do you go in a place like that which is so unsafe? And like this government security guidelines told me that. So I remember that I got a bit nervous.
Yeah.
And my grandfather.
Yes.
And he said, like, if you get shot, I was the one who told that this will happen.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? But this was like a bit like insane, like like this image of me being totally insane to risk my safety in going to such an unsafe place. And then when I arrived, like my whole body experienced so much vitality there.
One of the things that we bonded over was our separate fears about certain things. Sort of like, I think we might even call them irrational fears. How are you working towards getting better at that?
I feel that it was a very transformational time with you, and I feel that I stepped so much into my energy since then. And it's interesting because especially in this 2020, it's been even stronger because I feel that it was kind of healing, I have to say, even if it sounds super weird, to know that you know, like that the whole world is on pause, and also to know, okay, right now, like especially in the beginning of the lockdown, it was very interesting, like to think about it, like, okay, this virus doesn't know about social status. This virus doesn't know about, you know, like your job or anything. You know, it's a time like where we are confronted collectively with a collective trauma, let's say, you know, and it was also so frightening to see so many people dying in the like to see it and to hear from other people that they have, like friends have corona, people dying in Italy and so on. And then, but just like to, if I put this aside and just say, okay, so many people lost their jobs, you know, but it so after all this happened, I felt like, okay, but what's, like, you know, who am I without a job? Who am I without the income, the basic income? You know, who am I without all this also fiction of, like, okay, this is my identity because of my work, and so, and because no one in the beginning could really work, just okay, the doctors or in the grocery stores or in the pharmacies, but most of the other people had to adjust in the first days. So in the first days, I felt it was like really like a pause for a lot of parts in the world, and this gave me also some ease. I feel that I totally lost the fear of let's say cool people, you know, like some people who maybe seemed to be very cool before. All of these fears are gone because I feel like, okay, I just see people individually right now, and I also lost in a way the fear of having to fit into a society which is fundamentally flawed and just like is built upon lies and about, it's constructed on the shoulders of other people. And then I was also applying for a job in a video to read the newspaper, like to read the news, and also this is from a huge company who just make people very stupid. And when Corona came, I really felt like, okay, there is no time left for this bullshit. Like, I have to choose on which side I want to be in. And also with this experience of having this job applications, I really felt, okay, I really don't want to be part of that club. These are my enemies. Like, this is what I'm fighting against. Like, all these very repressive, authorical, patriarchal, very violent and really crazy mediums. I'm fighting against this all my life, and I don't want to be part of that. And it was very clear. It was in the very beginning of Corona. I thought, like, it just made it very, or it was even before Corona, it made it very clear, like, why am I here on this earth? What are my core values? And if I'm not living them, it's impossible to look myself in the mirror. And I wanted for some months to be part of that, just to be able to have like a financial stability. But then I thought, like, no, like even I prefer to live somewhere in a small room. I don't care, but as long as I can really be true to myself and be able to look myself in the mirror and say like, yes, this is who I am, and I want to I really want to organize like or to cultivate in my life pleasure and community and fight for human rights. And I think that especially very shortly before Corona, it was, but it's still going on the borders of Greece. A lot of refugees like got shot or got reported to the police and arrested for many years, and they had to pay or still have to pay a lot of bills because of entering into a country, even if what they did was totally legal. European Union acts against their own human rights. So the European Union does something which is illegal and criminal, but then they let other people pay and say that they're doing something illegal, even if the European Union acts against their own laws. And it's, of course, now it's still happening in the refugee camps. During the Corona times, it just got worse. And I think it's really important. It came from me. It was. I'm much clearer, let's say, right now, what I'm fighting for in my life, and I'm fighting also more for justice. And I really don't want to be part of any club who doesn't support justice of all people. Yeah, and I don't want to live any other way. And I think that life is just too short to waste it into trying to fit into a society which is like very sick, let's say, and very. There is a lot of injustice, and I think it's important to know what are our values and what are we fighting for, and what also we want to produce through our art, and what do we want to cultivate by our words, or what do we want to make bigger, do we want to talk about, you know, where do I put my words and my energy in this world in my lifetime. And this became very clear to me. So what you were saying in the beginning, I think I stepped much more into my energy and I know much more like that, you know, that what I want and what I don't want in my life, and I don't doubt it so much, because I think because a lot of things which were established just broke down in one day. Yeah, it shows something. That there is more to life than just one social role, or one which is based on a job. You know?
And I think the good thing that the one thing that Verbene sort of instilled in us, or at least in me, was remember the time when, which is just echoing what you said, remember the time when we were talking about death and I kind of lost it, and I was just telling Martin and Amuji, like, do you know that you're going to die? Like, you're going to die. You know, it's because Babene was kind of talking about, in these long interviews that we were doing, she was talking about how I mean, of course, everyone knows that they have limited time, but she was talking with such certainty, and I don't know where that's coming from. Maybe that's something I'll ask her. But she said, you know, for me, it's about urgency. You know, it's like put it in my head that I should approach my practice with some kind of urgency, so that if your time is up, you have at least given it your all, and you are, but you did something that counted, but also you gave it your all, and you did it immediately. You know, this thing about saying, okay, maybe I'll give it some time and so on. And I think that's one of the things that I really appreciated her for, that you can see it with her. You know, she doesn't wait. She just does her performances however she wants. She has two sides of her. She's very patient, like, you know, writing a letter to the you know, officials of the country so she can do a certain performance, and waiting like 2 years for that. But also just being a person who thinks of an idea and then just walks out with it. Another thing that I learned from that time was how important your community is. Like you should like stop dreaming about making it so far from home, you know? It's like if your neighbor can experience your art somehow, and like your neighbor, like the person next door can experience your work, then conversations begin, you know, within their own homes and their own lives. And I think that's what she does best, is that, you know, watching all these videos that she of performances that she's done with the artists there, where she just kind of walks out the gate and does these performances on streets, and not worrying about, oh, I need a venue, I need a fund to do this at a certain organization, or just like killing yourself with these thoughts of how you think a performance should be presented. Whereas, yeah, she couldn't be bothered about that. She wherever she has space to do it, she will do it. And I found that very beautiful, because it was a loving message to her community that, listen, this is for us, this is for you guys. I'm not doing this for some NGO. I'm not doing this for. I realized what she was talking about, because I've come across, or I've thought that that's how maybe my practice could be seen more, or could be done, or and so on. But coming there and just realizing how you must also focus on the small circles you have around you was really eye opening. Mm-hmm.
And we have to see where our feet are and how we can make a difference exactly where we are.
Right.
And what you were saying also in the beginning, like of what changed since then, I think that I realized also in Ghana how much shame I felt in a way to be that I'm kind of like part of this strange history. To be born in Rio, but to have like all this, like in my family, these experiences of war before me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that, and I felt like, oh, what do I have to say as a, you know, like as a woman who's coming from this background, you know, that I felt always that I'm not allowed to have in a way a voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this kind of like ended because I thought like, yeah, of course I have a voice.
Of course.
And it's important to use your voice.
Mm-hmm.
And as women, we have still a lot to fight in this world, like globally, everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I also felt this urgency.
Yeah.
And also after Ghana, after summer, it was very cool. I got invited to an international film festival for human rights. And my film Bare Life.
That's great.
Won an award there.
Wow! Congratulations.
It was so beautiful and so unexpected, and there were very political filmmakers from all over the world, and it is a very tiny festival.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it gave me so much power just to see also my own film.
Exactly.
Cinema and say like, oh wow, I didn't give up, because for 10 years I was kind of hiding it, and I thought that, oh, it's not good enough, because some old man, you know, who felt in a privileged situation and told me that it's not good enough. Then I did it anyway, and a friend of mine, she sent it to festivals, and I'm very grateful for that. So it's cool to not give up, you know, just because when I produced it was like 10 years ago, like I started filming it, and it felt just so good that it's finally out, and now I never want to wait so long anymore.
Exactly.
It's now.
It's true. Where can we find your film? Is it public somewhere?
It's still in festivals.
Okay.
It's shown in festivals, so it's not on the internet.
Yeah, I would really love to watch it, because I think, yeah, your films, I mean, we watched a little bit of your film that you did with the man who passed away, with the Japanese teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a good eye. You're a filmmaker for sure. I mean, I've also watched your videos of my favorite performance of yours is the I know you just recorded your performance, but that was the one where you're punching the bag and there are all these voices, and then there's this part where you're like, you should smile, you should always smile. I mean, I love that film so much.
Yeah. So in this piece, it's called biopolitics,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to make visible like all the voices the body absorbed during being a child, being a teenager, being an adult woman, and especially as a woman, what kind of like violence you have to like eat or absorb in this society
Mm-hmm.
we're living in, and all this emotional and verbal violence, which is so underrated, I think, because the scars are not visible,
Mm-hmm.
but they are there. So what the body has is kind of like to eat, and which violence also this body has to experience, and then kind of like to live it in a very capitalist society, which like, there's a lot of isolation, so the bodies are very isolated, and at the same time there's this capitalism and isolation and
Mm-hmm.
neoliberalism, let's say, and then they are all you're bombarded by all these stories about like, oh, you have to be the best version of yourself, just
Mm-hmm.
improve yourself, and like this terror of like self-optimization all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and that you are never okay the way you are. You always have to meditate more, or do this, and buy this product, and buy this product.
Right.
That you always have to smile, and like do this kind of like fascism of happiness, which is not a happiness because of a good community, because of like pleasure, because of like a really beautiful experience, but
Mm.
it's a happiness that is consumable
Mm-hmm.
by buying products which are associated with a feeling of joy.
Right.
And so I make visible also in the beginning this body, which is kind of like terrorized by the structures of violence within families, and it also leads. It comes from also in Austria, especially from the fascist history of Austria, because I know also a lot of people who have grandparents who were like fascists, and so their mothers and fathers
Mm-hmm.
were raised by totally traumatized people,
Mm-hmm.
and even if they hadn't been fascist, for example, they had been Jewish or they had been partisans, like these bodies had experienced a terror, and war, and um, or for example, the fascist history, like they murdered like people, like it's so like this history is it's not far away from my generation. So my parents and the parents of a lot of friends experienced war. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of structures of violence, and which are circling around the themes of guilt, shame, and blame.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that guilt, shame, and blame, it's not gone from the society. It's just like it's just it's still there, but it shows itself in different forms. And I think that there's still a lot to digest. At the beginning, I talk about this kind of like this violence, which is still there, and I think which is also a bit coming from another time. And then um, this like fascism of happiness, or this like this neoliberalism, which works in the interest of like this wish factory, like which works for a neoliberal regime
Yeah.
you experience pain, professional violence in any form, because you have bad karma, or
Mm-hmm.
you didn't hear yourselves enough, or you like all this also
Mm-hmm.
spiritual market. I think it's so violent because it says, oh, you have some bad past life experience, or you you have a bad law, is love and attraction or something like this, and I think it's a lot of violence, also in this capitalism, which tells you again that it's your fault because you didn't do enough, and instead of questioning the social conditions of our societies, of our governments, of our system, we tend to question ourselves, and think, oh, the 1 euro is the end, but not our system. Not we, but we have to fight the structures of violence and not ourselves. Like this piece is about that a lot of people are always searching for the solution within themselves, and then they think, oh, they're not enough, but um, it's about twisting this
Right.
self-harming power, and turn it into like outside, and that you fight for a better future, and you fight for a better life, and that you don't fight yourself, but you really produce, and yeah, you produce something which is bigger and more beautiful than anything that exists around you. You are the creator of the beauty and the poetry in your life and the politics, and you can fight for justice. And but you should not fight yourself.
I remember also the performance that you did in Ghana. So we did the film together, but each of us had our own performances. And I just remember it was very powerful. And I just want people to hear a little bit about what brought that on and how that went. Because for me also, Ghana was like my first introduction to performance art. Really, I mean, like like
Yes.
performance art, where it's like very simple but very deep, and it can be, it can be like Martin burying himself, and then it can be the you with your performance of breaking down the walls and then pouring salt water on you and on yourself. And I mean, it just, for me, the simplicity of it, and just kind of using whatever it is that is around you, um, to portray something or to send something or to say something was new to me. Honestly, I hadn't experienced performance art like that. Well, ever actually. I hadn't. I don't think live. I hadn't. I mean, of course, I had watched things, so I was very interested in
Yeah.
every piece that people did. I was like asking questions to myself, and yeah. So just kind of wanted you to remind me again how that process was and what, because of course I knew, we talked a little bit about it, and this is also one of the things that like
Yes.
connected us, because you were kind of breaking down all the bad negative things in your life. But
Yes, and the performance radically challenged the fascist history of Austria and its structures of violence, including the canalization of the issues of shame, guilt, and blame, that are transported from one generation
right.
to the other. And I made an installation of a wall, and I was painting that wall for the wall. Was built by like heavy bricks in a circle, and this they were like 3 or 4, which stand for 3 or 4 generations of history, Austrian history. And the wall of the installation is built by heavy bricks on which voices, narratives, and the history of violence are written in, like layer by layer. And these writings manifest like verbal abuse, like bullying, everyday sexism, racism, classicism, embedded in a patriarchal capitalist society where they had been internalized as the norms by institutions and families. And the traces on kind of like the skin of the wall show the discouraging others, like the voices of the others living inside of their own body as our And so in this performance, I wanted to break down the walls and these heavy bricks and to step out of this circle of violence for my current self and also for my future self and for the future generation. And it was very interesting because it was totally transformative, this performance. 2 days after this performance, the far-right politician, like there was a huge scandal in Austria, and the ÖVP and FPÖ, that's the two far-right like majority coalition it was. So this broke down, and our chancellor was dismissed by the national councillor, and so the whole government in Austria broke down nearly at the same day of the performance. It was like witchcraft because I was writing on the bricks also, like, you know, the FPÖ, the far right wing party in Austria. So I wanted to smash this too, this history of Austria. And it broke down. It was really, it was incredible. I really felt like a witch it was a crazy ritual. I did that, and I had a hammer in my hand. I was breaking down 40 bricks, like where these things were written on.
I remember you hurt yourself pretty badly after that.
Yes, I was bleeding in my hands, but at the same time, I felt it was like also the pain that I felt didn't feel so bad. It was necessary in a way, so that my body also, because I think it's hard to do something like this. And of course, maybe now I would do another performance, but at this time I thought it was very necessary and urgent for me and also for Austria, let's say. I don't know, it was, and then this happened, you know, like really, like the government, this two party, it really it was crazy. I think 24 far right wing politicians were suspended. Very interesting moment.
By what standards do you judge yourself?
So it's a very complex question.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think, yeah, because of course we judge. I think I judge myself in a lot of ways. But what I learned in the past, especially in the past months and years, especially in the last year, is that I judge myself also in my intentions. So I try to ask myself, what is my intention? What was my intention? What is my intention? And how other people respond to my intention is not my responsibility. So, for example, if people project now onto me things that I feel are just like, you know, not true, I try to stay with me and judge myself on my own intentions. And if my intentions were pure and out of love and compassion and like solidarity and community and to really want to share presence with the person and to honor the person, for example, in human interactions now, then I try to not judge myself too harsh, because I know what my heart is feeling and what I'm thinking and what I try to do. And in my past, or it's still happening a lot, that I'm a therapist for a lot of people, and that a lot of people come to me, ask me about advice and tell me their whole life story, and then they kind of like, let's say, associate their pain that they told me about themselves, about their life, with me, because they told me all of these things, maybe also things that were very hurtful. And it happened to me sometimes that people cut me off because they let me witness their pain, because they felt in a certain moment this safety, but then they maybe were afraid that they told me that. So this happened to me a lot of times, and I try to really judge myself and my intentions. And if I, for example, like if my intentions were coming from a place of fear, or if my intentions were coming from a place of, oh, I just don't want to be alone, and or something like this, that I just feel like I just need anyone out. It's not about the person, then I really know, okay, I was not truthful to myself in this one moment or something like that. And so I try to really see what is my intention. And I also try to live a life according to my own rule of not creating suffering, but also to not do harm to other people. But I have one thing which it's very sweet. I have a painting on my wall, and it says, do no harm, take no shit. And this is also what I try to live. I think it's also good to judge yourself from like who you had been before, or
I get what you're saying. I struggle a lot with the judgment that I tell myself, I'm an overreactor or overthinker, I would say. So I kind of always think that one small thing then defines the entire being. I don't just see it as an action, as a thing I did. I see it as a person I am. And it takes a long time to get away from that. So for example, if I do something that I see is bad, then I think I'm a bad person. So I kind of just generalize the entire thing. I haven't been able to learn from the way it makes me feel so bad and shitty and so on. I haven't been able to learn from those experiences yet, but I try to judge myself according to my intentions. You're right. So I try to kind of remind myself that, okay, listen, but you didn't mean it that way. You're playing it in your head as if it is the worst thing that happened, but you know that you didn't mean to make it the worst thing that happens, and that's why you feel bad. So your intentions were okay, they weren't bad. And so I'm always fascinated at, especially with you, because we talked a lot about the common patterns that we have in our behavior and how we talk to ourselves and how we see our actions and deal with our emotions. Yeah, I just wanted to know how it was with you right now, ever since, because for me it's been a very slow improvement. I wouldn't say I'm there yet. I would say that, I just have these sudden surges of energy and good spirits, and I just want to do things, and I'm like laughing all the time and everything is great, and then one small sort of like word here or a comment there just throws me completely off, and but I think what it is, I just need a tougher approach to things. So it's always interesting to ask, to learn from how people cope with it. Is it like, because my sister, for example, she has very good positive self-talk. So she would just not generalize it. She wouldn't overreact, and I've seen how she's kind of lighter in her emotional world, because there's just not a lot of grudges or heaviness that she keeps inside or she takes too personally. And it's admirable to see that. Anyways,
what I wanted to say is also, it's a very common pattern of internalized violence that most of us experience during childhood, that it's not that you did something bad, but you are a bad person when you did something, and especially as a very young child, it's like, oh, it's like, oh my god, you are the worst. You have this feeling of, because of one act, you are totally disowned of your right of living or existence. But in fact, it's just like something that I think a lot of people just experience through their parents, because they couldn't communicate that in a proper way. I totally know what you're talking about, and I'm also a very light person a lot of times, and I'm like singing and dancing all the time, and like especially the last 2 weeks I feel like I can explode because of like my positive energies, and I don't know where to put all my love for it. Like I just love everything, like everything I see is just like so one. And then one little thing is, and I feel the same like you, I also very hypersensitive, and I can feel the pain also very intensely, but then I can also like feel pleasure like 2 days later again, and I can feel happy and joyful like a child again. And I think I don't think that there is an overreaction. I think you are just reacting, and I think I'm also just reacting, and I think that there's a lot of trauma that happened along time of being alive, and there are a lot of like trauma responses, and I think that maybe your sister, I mean, it's just like one projection, but maybe your sister didn't go through what you went through, and experienced this social isolation because of choosing a very different path of life. And I think it's not healthy to compare ourselves with the rest of the family or with other people, because we just feel what we feel. And I think the key for real healing is to, of course it's frightening when we feel a very strong reaction to rejection, for example, and I'm also very surprised when this happens in my life, and I feel very irritated when I feel things like that, and I feel very kind of like impotent, to the situation, and powerless. But then I also see, which is also a bit like weird, how fast I can bring myself into a safe space again, into a happy place.
Yeah, you just snap out of it, But when you're in it, when you're in that sad moment, it seems like it's over. Like it seems so deep and
But I think that this just reflects that we are like very sensitive beings, and that we feel certain things. And when we are, for example, when we are in a place which doesn't feel right, sometimes we have to leave the place or the person, or the relationship or whatever, what comes, or the circumstance or the job or whatever. And then in the moment we are out of this, then we feel, or that we realize what we have been in before. So we feel the release and the happiness and the joy in the moment we are away or out of this situation, which was maybe repressive or something, or not repressive, but maybe triggered a lot of things. So sometimes we have to get out of the situation to see in which situation we had been into, because when you're sometimes in the film, you don't realize what is really happening or what is going on. But as soon as you're out, you feel a release. And I think to learn and to unlearn to judge ourselves for reacting the way we react is maybe a process of real healing.
Second question would be, what do you want to say most in your work?
I think it's in a way political in a sense. I mean, there's one Italian philosopher, and he said that everybody's a politician and everyone is a philosopher in his own everyday life, because he can change things around him or her. So I want that my work is in a way meaningful and political and radical and transformative, and I want to bring light into aspects of lives which are maybe not visible, or maybe not visible on stage or something. And my whole work in my films, in my writings, a lot of times brings in questions about social justice. I want to bring on stage, when I'm performing, a certain form of power. And in my form of performances, a lot of times I brought, for example, power of really destruction also on stage, like to really be a very strong woman.
I've seen that. That's like a theme in your performances, because a lot of things have been very strong, very steady performances where you just show this power. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because I am read by a lot of people as like a soft,
Yep.
like a soft woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel I want to embody as a woman, or that I'm read as a woman. I feel as many. I feel like there are living a lot of people inside of me. That I want to have a softness, but also a total radicalness, and bring that also on stage. And some people, when they saw my performances, where I, for example, smash a computer into pieces, they think like, oh, this is you, and I would never recognize you like that way. But I want to show also that a woman can be like a badass creature who, like I don't have to apologize for, like, for example, anger or something. Yeah. Of course, I would never do injustice to other creatures. I would never like to intend to do that. Yeah. But on stage, I feel I have the space to bring, to make visible a kind of like energy which is so powerful, and encourage also other women to step into this power. And I think that we are living in a time or in a society where there is a lot of injustice, and I think it's very important for women also in particular. We are often viewed as rude or insensitive or selfish or too much when we choose to express our needs and our true needs and our own desires, and also our anger against all the oppression that we experience within a system, like all of us collectively, not just as, I think woman is also a concept, as humans, let's say. And I want to make space for all these kind of energies, and I want to embody something very powerful in my performances. But in my writings, I want to be as poetic and sensual and soft and poetic as possible too. Yeah.
I think for me, I feel like maybe it's a little bit sometimes opposite of that. Like I feel like I portray very sturdy and stern and like strong foot forward. Like that's how I kind of present myself, and then I like to kind of back it up a little bit in my writing, or kind of just enjoy seeing that is it quieter? I don't think it's quieter, but more contemplative side of myself in my creativity, like in my creative endeavors, which is like completely opposite from like this hyper loud energy that I have like in my daily life. And I think it's partly because like, I don't know, I mean, of course maybe it's for everyone, but I think partly because when I write, I'm like in a very calm surrounding, and it's very quiet and stuff, and that kind of just takes me back to like, okay, how can I make this softer or calmer? But not all my work is like that, but you saying like how your perception from other people and your creative work is the opposite sides, made me think about how that is the same for me but the other way around. And anyways, what is the best broke artist story that you've lived through?
I had been eating rice for a really long time.
Yeah.
For weeks and weeks, and to save money.
Yeah.
I had a rice cooker, and that was like the only thing that I ate. That's a kind of like a fun story that I was just like, I don't know. And what was very devastating for me was right after I finished my PhD, like just like 2 weeks after, I was working as a waitress, and it was the most horrible job I ever did in my life. I'm the worst waitress in the world. I had to carry like, a lot of meat, so I had to carry all this weight, and I was working there, and I think it was my first real working day, and we had been just 2 waitresses for 120 people. It was like a super full mood at this day, and I was like, I couldn't even function anymore. My brain was so confused, and by all of these people, this information, it was just like I was working there for not such a long time because I couldn't. I was really once walking home, and I thought, like after all my work and all my writing, I was writing 400 pages book, like this PhD thing. And then I come out, and then I end up there. It was just the worst place. I got like screamed on and from the people in the kitchen. And then I walked home, and it was like on a mountain, so I walked home. And then I was crying. I felt like I really swore to myself, like, I prefer living under a bridge than ever turning back there again. And then I quit my job.
Yeah.
And this guy, my boss, he offered me more money and asked me to stay. And I refused, and I said, like, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. Yeah.
That was probably
that was also enlightening for me, that I say, like, I cannot exist in a place where people are so stressed and like screaming at me or something like this. I really thought, like, okay, I prefer to live in the woods somewhere isolated alone with my dog than to be in circumstances that really kill me. And if there's any possibility of can survive any other way, I will do that. So yeah, that was the thing. And then I was eating rice for a while, but it was it was good. I experienced life in really a lot of forms, and this is also one of my aims of my life, that I experience life in many different roles, and that I'm not stick just to one social role, but I try out every possible role. I had been a plate washer, a cook, I don't know, I was working with children, yoga teacher, university lecturers, writer, performing artist. I have like hundreds of roles that I tried out.
Yeah.
Also, I was a cleaning lady and everything. I think it's very, very good to understand life if you try out to live in as many ways as possible.
I agree.
And you can also transport that in your art and your writings, and have much more compassion for others.
Exactly. And I think that's also what how Ghana expanded us. But on this topic, I just remember the text that you sent. I mean, the voice note that you sent me about the guy, the person who's using the black emojis, and and thinking about how you had said for you try to judge yourself according to your intentions, and maybe the answer to this is like asking that person, well, or trying to understand like what were their intentions using that, because of course there's that question of, okay, what was your intention, like why, what couldn't you have said in a using a white emoji that you had to use a black emoji? Like, what were you trying to say with the black emoji that you couldn't say with a white emoji? And that's the question. And the other one would just be then, okay, use your black emoji, and what are then the reasons? What is your intention there? And and then just getting to know that individual's reason behind that choice.
Intentions.
Yeah,
that's true.
That could be one way.
I was asking you the question. I was asking you this question of what do you think about why people are using black emojis?
Yeah.
Because I just know some people from the black community who reacted very, very sensitive about that, and didn't didn't feel comfortable at all. And so that's why I thought like, okay, like when this friend of mine was sending it, I was thinking about my friends, and I thought like, okay, maybe that's not cool to use it, but of course what you're saying is very right, and I think we just all have to see every case individually and to see the intention behind it, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, I know that my friend is a wonderful, political and very wonderful woman, yeah. And of course, she has no bad intention at all. But sometimes it's also about like how it's received and how other people feel about that. I don't know. And for example, also with the hair, you know, like the cultural appropriation, and I, for example, I would never dare here in Austria to wear braids. I just know that it's a taboo in a way. And when I was in Ghana, Babenya told me, you should try it, and you should have the experience within your body, the experience of pain, the experience of patience, the experience of like also really of pain, she said. And that's why I tried it out, and I knew it's a safe space for me to try out an experience which I would never do somewhere else if not somebody would suggest me to do it, you know, like and say, hey, I have a friend and she's wonderful in doing that, and you should try it, and you should feel this, you should just experience how it feels to have this procedure, for example. And so I was very excited to do it. I did it twice, but I just knew, okay, I was in a very safe space where I could do it. And the moment I flew back, I was then in Lisbon, and I put them out because I felt a lot of, I didn't feel good. And at the first day when I arrived in Lisbon, I had the braid still, and then there was a person yelling at me, like making fun of me, like, oh my god, she has braids, it was really horrible. I got like shamed. It was like, and I felt my whole body was in shock. I was like, oh yeah, oh god, like I went home and I put it out because I thought, okay, it's inappropriate here. It's not the context anymore in my little bubble that I experienced before. So yeah, I don't know. It was a very interesting experience there. So I think I wouldn't do it again because I already experienced it, but it was interesting.
Yeah, I think the it's interesting that people called you weird things because you had braids on, you know.
It happened in Lisbon. It was very, very, very rude, and at the same time, I felt ashamed because I felt like, yeah, it's not the context anymore, and you know, like I don't want to disrespect others, but it was hurtful at this moment because this person, it was in the middle of the night and I didn't even see the person, but it was like two people were like laughing from the window and like pointing out at me and saying something like, oh, she's a white girl, she has braids, like, you know, like ha 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 ha. And then but I totally understood it. I was okay. I'm back to Rio. It's zone in this huge family community anymore where people encouraged me to do it and to try it out. You know? It's
It's completely different, and it's so interesting how we can like just in a few hours be in completely two different worlds, you know.
Totally, yes,
yeah.
And what I experienced in Ghana was a community that I've never experienced before in that way. It was just so beautiful to be called, like, always like, hi my dear, hi hi love.
Yeah.
We were all so kind to each other.
Yeah.
It was just like so supportive. Like we are like a huge family,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked out.
It did work out. And how, I wanted to ask, like, how have you created your own opportunities before instead of waiting for opportunities to come to you?
Yeah, I think I always did it
Mm-hmm.
because I felt just the urge to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, my radio show, Femme Poem,
Yeah.
I started with my radio show, which holds space for the beauty of literature, activism, feminism,
Mm-hmm.
queerness. I started at in the end of 2017 because I just felt the urge of doing my own radio show, because before I was working for a cultural and educational channel. And then I thought, okay, I want to do something where I can just invite whoever I think is very interesting. And so I just initiated that because it's for me, I call it activism because I don't get money for that.
Yeah.
So that's just like part of my politics, and it's just like this really like the urgency, as you said in the beginning of the interview, is the urgency to just do it, to give voices that I think are important a platform or space, and to talk about things that are important to me, or that seem important to me, especially in these times. And so this is what I did, and also my documentary about people without health insurance, also the topic of homelessness and so on. I did this already when I was young. So I just was there and I saw a person singing a Romanian love song, and I said, okay, I want to do a film here in Rome about love with people.
And I think we watched it, no?
Yeah.
I kind of remember something like
Yes,
this.
I think we watched it. Yeah.
Oh,
we
it was so good.
I think we watched it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And can people, again, that was like a private thing. People can't view it, because I kind of want people to just see your work.
Yeah, right now it's not. It's with a password.
Okay.
Because it's still at the festivals.
Okay,
maybe.
no problem.
So I will wait a little bit, but
yeah, when it's out,
radio
just
show is open.
yeah.
Yeah. So what? Yeah, just if anybody is interested, just contact me and I will send you the link. It's no problem, absolutely no problem.
That's great.
And yeah, I think everything I do that I really love was it was mostly my initiation, because I couldn't do anything else. It's just like, okay, I have to do the radio show, I have to make the film, I have to make like all these experimental films. I have to go to, like, even when I went to Tokyo to research about Komurobushi, it was my initiation, and I fought for all of these things, and so a lot of times I was not waiting that things happen. It's just like when for example, with performances, sometimes I'm more like I was sometimes. No, but even there I was the one who initiated it most of the times. I'm not applying for a lot of things, I have to say. But I try to do it anyway. Like Rabena is more like, okay, if I really feel the urge to make the piece, I'm doing it, and I don't wait for institutions or the money. I'm more like an initiative, and I also don't want to be so dependent on institutions who judge me for my story, because most of the time I think I became sometimes kind of like a product, and you have to have an extraordinary curriculum, and I don't know, this, and have to be identified as this and that, and to have a cool story, where it doesn't really matter what change, and which is not a narcissistic viewing of yourself and doing just like another entertainment for this world, you know. I think it's not my core goal to impress some institutions and to get funding from them. I want to do something which is meaningful, and if they don't give me money or don't bring me to a show, I will do it anyway. That's like, I think I cannot even live differently than, because I would wait all my life for others to decide about if I'm allowed to express and that I'm living or not, you know.
And I think your point is, I mean, it's great to send your film out for some screening or submit here and there things, but that doesn't mean then you just wait for their answer, and if they say no, then that means you wait to then reapply again until they say yes. Like, these people are just people who formed some sort of group to select whatever they felt was cool at that moment or good or whatever, but not everyone can get in, and so you shouldn't rely on that validation. And and I just
that's very true. That's very true what you're saying, and it's interesting because this is the first time for example, with the documentary film. It was the first time in my life that I had kind of like a film production company behind me, and it's a guy, and he applied to all these festivals because I think for me it's, I don't know if I would have the patience to be in this waiting position. And also, you know, you remember I did a very short like film with about one poetry in Ghana. It's just like one poem of Brenda.
Brenda.
Another poet who was there, yes. And so I a very short film, very short, like just like 2 minutes, just one poem of her. And then every institution said no. Like all the festivals said no. And then I really have to admit that I felt some shame. I was like, oh, maybe it's not good. Of course I did it in just one day. It's an experiment, and it's not like, you know, it doesn't, but I don't think it has to be the greatest film on earth. But it felt bad that I cannot share it, and I think like also now after talking to you, I think it's that I just put it on YouTube and share it because it's her poem and it's great, and I did some animation to it, and you know, like,
exactly,
I don't want to wait.
You don't have to wait for someone to then like it. What if they don't? And it's like you didn't make it with them in mind, right? You made it with Brenda in mind, with showing people in mind. And who are the audience? Just the people who you know, every day moving around. They're not there to kind of judge and critique it and whatever. That's the audience, because even if these critiques or these festivals take it, they're there to also show the wide variety of people or majority of people who are not judging it either way. So you can just cut out the middleman and just take it to the people, you know. It's like these festivals are just about grabbing what they think is, I mean, I'm not saying it's everyone, others, but it's just bringing what is fresh and new ideas to people, to a wider collection of people. But it shouldn't mean that they're the gatekeeper of your showcases, you know. It's like, if it's ultimately for the people, just show the people however you can, apply to these things, but also just if you don't get in, or if it's rejected or whatever, then just take it to the people. It's like, it doesn't have to be their people, you know. So
yes, it's very true what you're saying. I think it's true.
I will be waiting for your film. I mean, no pressure, but like, I love your filmmaking. It's I think it's very very well thought out, and even when it's spontaneous, it's very well done. Even Kukutana was great, and so yeah, I just don't think you should restrict yourself. Although I know you're not. I know you're not. I know you're thinking about these things also about, like, yeah, they're not the gatekeepers of my work.
Of course, I'm also like I want to be. I'm very perfectionist a lot of times, but I think that perfectionism sometimes hinders to really put something out because, of course, for example, the poem with Brenda.
Yeah.
Of course, I know. Okay, to change some things. Maybe it's a bit like too dark because we filmed it in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
But it's a bit mystical because of that, and so on and so on. And Kukutana, of course, the editing is not the best because we did it in 2 days.
Yeah.
And I just know, of course, in the big cinemas, they will they will see all the cuts, the very weird cut, and everything, blah blah blah. And I lost the original material. But at the same time, I feel, we did it and we showed it already to people.
Yeah.
In Accra.
Yeah.
And I think it shows like people were coming, running to us afterwards, like hugging us and saying like it was so important for them to see.
And that matters, and that's
so vulnerable.
Exactly, and we did make ourselves very vulnerable, and I think, and that's like the spirit of Vabene in us. Like, you know what? If it's one neighbor, fine. If it's 10 people in Germany or Brazil, fine. But I'm doing this either way, and it's valuable because I've done it. I've gone through the experience already, right? Like, we went through that experience. We did, even if it's lost, like we still have that. I still remember that. It changed me a lot. It took us through a journey of getting to know each other. We did that piece, and that in itself is what I guess is creating art, is being creative, is, and meeting people is, and what Kukutana was. It's just like we had met and we did this record, and it stayed in the audience's mind. Now the audience this time just happened to be in Ghana, and they saw it, and that's it. Anyways, yes. So how does your family take your endeavor? Like, what is their take in your artistic journey?
I think that in one hand, I think it's very hard to describe, but I think they don't understand what I'm doing at all, and they also don't value too much what I'm doing, because it's very far from them, from their world. And at the same time, I feel that, for example, my father, I feel that they're somehow proud when I get a prize or something like that, because it's something that they can see, that it's recognized by other people, and so they also know, oh wow, she's in a newspaper, and she's in a festival and she wins a prize, or she is in another festival and is in the best 3, and then I was, for example, in 3 newspapers, and then I think he's very proud, or my family is very proud when they see that, but it's more like external success, that is understandable for them. So it has to be of value when I get prizes for what I'm doing, but I don't think that my parents really know or can understand my access to, or like to they don't know exactly what I'm doing. It's far from their world. And I think that they just want me to have a husband and a fixed job, a fixed income, and babies. And I think that this is something which they see as success. If I have a job which is one job, and which everybody can see that I'm doing that, I'm identified as a personality with this job. So, for example, I am a doctor or I am this or that. So that would be for them like real success and to have a husband and children and so on. Then I kind of like made it in society. And this kind of work that I'm doing is, for example, for my brother, he's always saying like it's just a hobby. And for me, it's not a hobby; it's my life. And everything makes sense that I'm doing. I'm studying philosophy, politics since I'm 14, 15 years old. I'm interested in that stuff, and I do this since a very, very long time. And it's not, for me, it all makes sense perfectly. It's kind of like all the same.
Yeah.
So to do films, to do interviews, because in my films I do interviews most of the time, because it's most of the time documentary films and portraits. It's always a dialogue with another person. And in my radio show it's the same. And with my writings, it's kind of like a result of a lot of conversations that I had with books or with people. So it's all about, it's all kind of like the same. And it's all about the politics of the body. And but yeah, I don't think that my parents have access to that. And I'm not mad at them because they just, I don't think that they have the capacity to really be able to understand what I'm really interested in and why and so on. Because they have different values and very different ways of living their lives. And that's okay, you know. I try to be okay with that there is not so much interest in what I'm actually doing, you know.
Well, how did this feeling of saying, you know what, it's fine, manifest?
I mean, when it was really hard, I think I told you that also in Ghana.
Yeah.
That the hardest time was during my PhD, because they didn't understand that it's not a hobby to write a PhD.
Yeah.
That it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And a lot of time. And a lot of effort. And in this moment, I wished I could have shared. But after this was done, I just felt it, and it's like it's okay, you know. Like they are who they are, and I am who I am.
Yep.
If I integrate too much the voices, for example, of my brother for a long time, that what I'm doing has no value because I don't have like no economical advantage of that, then I'm suffering. But as long as I don't on my own, I really, and especially now Corona times, I'm much more spending in my energy, and I think like, yeah, where, like I don't want to be anywhere else. I don't want to be a banker, or I don't want to be in any job that I don't think is really nourishing and healing this world as a collective, you know, and which is causing more pain for the people. I don't want to hurt this planet in any way, you know, even though of course we all do in a way, but I don't want to do it. And now I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm fighting for something, and I just know that it's good where I am. And I feel that I gained much more trust in my way, and I don't want to be just one job. Like, you know.
Yeah, just like it's like artists are just telling how they feel at a particular moment in time, and I think it's valuable to know, to have records of that. And I think artists are doing that. Of course, artists are doing much more than just being historians, and they're solving a lot of things. But I think it was a beautiful way to put it, where you feel like even for future generations, they will know from artists, from art, what was really happening, because we're not going to create it because of money. Most of us are not going to create it because of fans, or because, like, you know, the people who like Vabene or you, or like these people who are, or any other artist that is influential but is really moving within their own lanes to tell the truth, are like really helping shape the understanding of these current times in the future, because then you get to know the truth from interpretations of these things, and then you can apply them in politics, you can apply them in so many things that can then shape other segments of the world. And so artists are completely, absolutely important, like an important chunk of the global peace, like peace as in like a, if that is missing and it's not taken seriously and it's not valued and it's not, like, the globe is kind of shattered in a way, it's not stable in a way, it's not complete in a way, like a shattered glass that needs all its pieces.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that the role as an artist includes exclusion.
Yeah, you're right.
Includes isolation and also rejection. The rejection is part of it. That if you are just an artist and everybody agrees on you, I think a lot of times that you are just like a victim, or not a victim, but you are kind of like a victim of capitalism. You're like a product. Your life story, and it's kind of like with a marketing strategy, you became a very popular artist, you know. And I think that then you are sold as an object, as a product, and then you are maybe in a big galleries, but it's not really about your work, but it's about you are sold as a product, and your story and where you come from and what are you fighting for, and then you are like labeled as this and that and this and that. Even your rebellion is labeled and sold to a wider audience, and then your whole life story and everything and the images they create about you, it's just another product. And I think that a lot of true artists and true writers are sometimes not that famous, but sometimes they are, sometimes they are not, because sometimes it's just like you're not that sellable, you know. Sometimes you're just like, you don't want to be that kind of like product, or become a product of big institution who can sell you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important part of being an artist is not to be predictable, you know.
Right.
Maybe what it is like, whether you're famous or not, people just don't know what's gonna come from you, and that in itself is fulfilling to you, even if it's under some big names or whatnot. I feel like it shows that you're not swollen up in that, you know, that marketing sale, let's just sell, put you on a pedestal and so on. But for me, like, the most influential people for me, or like the people who fascinate me a lot, are just those unpredictable people, and then people who are just have their hands in so many things and projects and creative ideas, and, you know, experimental people. It doesn't look as pretty as you expected, so you just have to keep evolving and creating new things and pushing boundaries. Like, if you're known for pushing boundaries, then push the damn boundaries. Like, don't then dwell in that glorious fame of, oh, I pushed the boundary once, you know, like I just did it once and I got an award, and now I'm chilling in the mountains somewhere enjoying all the whatever accolades. It's like you can also just put out, I just like it when people just keep putting out things, just putting it out. It's really inspiring.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful what you're saying, and it inspires me a lot. And it's also the performing artist I was writing about. His whole dance was about this notion of not being predictable, and I think that this creates a lot of freedom and flexibility.
Exactly. It's so true.
I love what you're saying.
Because there's so much pressure in being predictable, right? You have to do the same thing all the time. If you mess up, it's like if right off the bat you are known to be unpredictable, that's fantastic for you. Like that's, then you're right, then that's freedom. But like if you go in just churning out the same things every day, if you're a true artist, it's gonna kill you. Like it's actually going to kill you because it's so restricting. But yeah, I like the word freedom there. It's good. It's true.
Yeah. It of course there's a lot of disadvantage in not being caught up in a label, because it's much easier to be labeled and to be predictable for institutions to hire you. But I think it's good to live with the pain of not being everyone's darling who plays one social role or one artist role. And that's okay. And if that's okay for you, you are truly free, you know.
And it doesn't have to be painful either. I think people are bored of just monotonous one thing. I mean, I think they look at it and consume it not because they like it, but because it's what is produced, it's what it is there. So they're kind of also just accustomed to one thing too. And I think surprise and new things captures the interest of people. Now it's not the entire world, but like I think anyone who appreciates art or even in the little bit, I think appreciates work also. I mean, it's inspiring to see that someone is working on themselves and their creativity and experimenting. That's what's inspiring. Because like if you know, and you're doing other things with your work, you're experimenting. It's like I think people, and this ties into the question that is also on the WhatsApp there, that like what makes you, what do you think holds people back from following their dreams? And I think people can also hinder themselves from following their dreams once, even when they're successful. You know, that just because you're successful doesn't mean that like that was the dream you wanted. I think people get comfortable and I think people get comfortable and forget that being what an artist is, what it means. And it doesn't have to be pretty all the time. And trust me, I have to remind myself this. It's not like this self-actual, like I it's very clear to me, but I try and force myself to watch and follow and listen to people who, like last year they're doing one thing, this year they're doing another, and not just in art, even in projects. It's just like projects. Someone is like built a school here, and then they went to South Africa and they started an art gallery, and then they went to here, and you know, like just people who are churning out creative work and are continuing to see what the limits of their what are their limits in making things, you know. That is very inspiring. Anyways, I'm so lost now, but it's because it's so interesting to me.
Yeah, I think what hinders people about living their dreams is, I think it's most of the time what other people might think about them, what are the traditions they grew up in, what are the core values of their parents, for example. And if it's about prestige and money, then they try to live up to their dreams, to be lovable, to be included, to be loved. But in reality, they're hiding the true desires of maybe desiring something very different than the values of their core families, and what they don't allow themselves to live it because of the fear of rejection or to be laughed at. And I think it's a huge freedom in kind of like losing your face and, you know, like to not having to lose anything in a way, like, you know, like if you are already the scapegoat in your family, then it's maybe also more freedom to okay, I fully am who I am, and I'm not afraid to lose a certain expectation that is a lie. And I think that if your whole identity is based upon that, sometimes when you're really stepping into power and do whatever you want to do, then even the people who maybe doubted you in the beginning will then be proud of you, because you build your own way up to that. And
I think people are inspired by that. True. It takes time, but I think people are drawn to stories of courage, and we just need more of that, I think, to just kind of jolt people a little bit, just like buzz them a little bit and like poke them a little bit and be like, whoa, who is that, what are they doing, why?
We were talking for almost 4 hours.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's like guy with a green Ghana again, exactly. Like I would wake up and the first thing I'll do is just start talking to you. It was crazy. Anyways, alright. Okay.
Have a good night.
Thank you. You too, Romina. You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.